This morning, the Sunday headlines were even tougher for a Prime Minister who's insisting he will go on as the damage sinks in. Speculation over a leadership challenge had been growing for months before these elections, with Andy Burnham, Angela Rayner and Wes Streeting all framed as potential successors. Tonight, Angela Rayner broke her silence with a last chance warning to Keir Starmer. She backed the return of Andy Burnham to Westminster. In a lengthy post on X, she wrote, "This is bigger than personalities, but it is time to acknowledge that blocking Andy Burnham was a mistake. The Prime Minister must now meet the moment and set out the change our country needs." Another threat had already appeared from a source less used to the spotlight. Backbencher Catherine West is warning the Cabinet to get behind a candidate to move against Sir Keir by tomorrow, or she'll launch a leadership challenge of her own.
He's giving a speech tomorrow, and I'll listen carefully to his words. And if I feel that he's burning with a passion to take Farage on, and he gives the speech of his life and he re-inspires me, because he is a very able man, then I may think twice.
Why not let Keir Starmer continue until the autumn to conference, perhaps, to make that transition smoother?
I think all of that sort of talk just is Westminster bubble talk. We do need a figure, Phoenix-like, to rise and carry us forward into the next electoral challenge.
Who do you think that figure is?
We don't know. Some people saying that my push is for X candidate or Y candidate. It's not. It's really just to say we do need a change.
In a further blow, former Minister and Keir Starmer ally Josh Simons has said publicly in a newspaper what many Labour MPs are saying in private, writing that Sir Keir has lost the country and demanding a timetable for him to go. As Labour licks its wounds in Wales and Scotland, Keir Starmer's not the only leader whose future seems uncertain.
Look, I've got a job to do and I intend to do it.
And into the next election?
Well, look, I've got a job to do, I intend to do it, and I want to work closely with my colleagues to try and deliver for the great people.
How long
of
do you
Scotland.
intend to do it for?
No clear answer there from Anna Sarwar on his next 5 years, but Keir Starmer insists his government is a decade-long project. The Prime Minister's no stranger to relaunch speeches, but the one he's due to deliver tomorrow is set to be the most significant of his career.
Catherine Sampson there. Well, joining me now is Steve Wright, the leader of the Fire Brigades Union, which is affiliated to the Labour Party. This intervention from Angela Rayner, is it the beginning of the end for the Prime Minister, do you think?
Well, I think the writing's on the wall for Keir Starmer. I think we've seen what's played out over the last couple of days. Exactly that. The voters have spoken, a clear message has been sent, and I think that the answer now is to set a clear time frame and transition to a new leader of the party.
I mean, these statements in politics are often quite coded, aren't they? She pointedly does not ask for the PM to stand down, but in asking for Andy Burnham to be allowed back into Westminster, that's where this is headed, yeah?
Well, I think that was a mistake not to allow Andy Burnham to stand in the by-election, and I think we've seen what's played out since to be part of that, bad decisions being made by the Prime Minister and his Cabinet. And I think a speech tomorrow, I know this Prime Minister and this Cabinet and this government have become quite good and experienced at making U-turns. I don't think there is any way he or they can turn this around now.
But I mean, the Education Secretary was arguing to me today, saying this is not the moment for the sort of chaos that will come from changing leader at this point. You know, we've watched him negotiate and navigate global conflicts. We've got a cost of living crisis. This is just not the moment.
Well, look, I think we're in chaos now. Which is why I'm not calling for Keir Starmer to walk out at number 10 tomorrow and not come back. I think there needs to be a transition period where we can have all voices within the party, all wings of the party to come together, the voices of trade unions to once again be listened to. Because actually, I think if trade unions had been listened to throughout Keir Starmer's term as Prime Minister, then maybe some of the bad decisions that have been made wouldn't have been made.
I mean, the timing is pretty bad, isn't it, for this at the moment? Angela Rayner makes a statement asking for Andy Burnham to be allowed back into Westminster, presumably having to rule herself out from standing because she's still got issues with her tax. But it's not straightforward for Andy Burnham to get back to Westminster now, is it?
No, it's not. But I think we need to give some time to look at all of this. We need to see what plays out over the next few months. Look, I'm clear that whoever is Prime Minister and whoever becomes the leader of the Labour Party needs to return to Labour values. And it's not just necessarily about the personality or the person sat in that hot seat, I suppose. It is around what policies that they're going to deliver on. And I'll be making the case and asking the questions of whoever that is, what are they going to do for the fire and rescue service? We saw 14 years of austerity, the closure of fire stations, the loss of firefighters. Well, what are they going to do to deliver on things like that? Plus investment in public services, putting pay back in workers' pockets. That's what we want to see, Labour returning to the values that I think they were voted in on 2 years ago.
And who do you think will represent those values best? You must have a candidate in mind.
Well, I think there needs to be a departure from anyone that's related or been within Cabinet recently that has been part of the decisions that have been made over the past 2 years.
Anyone at all, that rules everybody out, doesn't it, pretty much?
Well, I think anyone that's been part of the bad decisions that have been made, I think we need to see a radical change. I think that's the message that we put out as Labour-affiliated trade unions, a radical change, a radical and clear departure from what we've seen over the last 2 years. And I think we've got an opportunity here to have a period of time to reflect, bring back some democracy to the party and deliver on
If you
that.
rule out everybody in Cabinet, that only leaves, maybe, Andy Burnham.
Well,
Or some unknown candidate. But it's Andy Burnham, presumably, you know, given what you said, the direction you want to go in, Andy Burnham would be your man, wouldn't he?
Well, look, we as a union, we don't select the candidates. That's the Parliamentary Labour Party that will do that. But certainly we'll be making a case.
You can back a candidate, can't you?
Yeah, we can do. But like you said, there's a lot of hoops to jump through before we get there. What I want to be clear on, and my message, is around who's going to deliver for the fire and rescue service, the members that I represent, who's going to invest in public services, who's going to start restoring wages of workers. Now, that's what we want to see from a Labour Party. That's why people went out and voted in their numbers 2 years ago. That's why we have campaigned for many years.
Really briefly, if you would. It's being reported now that allies of Wes Streeting are suggesting if things all collapse, he will make a bid for leader. That's making sure, sort of shot across the bows of the left, that the right are also interested.
Yeah, well, I don't think a snap reaction to any of this is helpful for us. We saw that with the Conservative Party revolving door of Prime Ministers. Let's have something decent and let's have a proper debate about it.
And really quickly, you know, you suggesting a pull to the left. The election results suggest the country's moving in completely the other direction, doesn't it?
I'm not sure that's the case, actually. I think there's a departure to both sides, if you like, and we need to make sure that Labour are filling that gap and making sure that they deliver on the promises that they've made.
Steve Wright, thanks very much for coming in. Thank you. Well, earlier, before Angela Rayner's intervention, I caught up with Education Secretary Bridget Phillipson, who insists that Keir Starmer will be leading Labour into the next general election. I began by asking her whether it was delusional of the Prime Minister to claim he would run the country for the next 10 years.
Look, we've had some really difficult elections and we took a real kicking, and there's no getting away from that. And, you know, voters want us to deliver the change that we promised in 2024, but I don't think the answer is to have a leadership change. I don't think that's what the country would want, us turning in on ourselves, talking amongst ourselves as a party, rather than focusing on the message that they sent us last Thursday. And I do think it's right.
But that message
that
is that they don't want you, isn't it?
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm not going to hide from the big electoral drubbing that we saw, but I also know that we're not even 2 years into a Labour government, that it's our responsibility to deliver that big and bold change that when people voted in 2024 they wanted to see.
Yes, but they don't believe that this lot, your lot, are going to deliver, do they? Those election results prove that, don't they?
Well, that's on us now to demonstrate, from the Prime Minister down, all of us in the Cabinet and Labour as a party,
but why shouldn't he move?
I really don't think at this moment, when we have instability around the world, when we face many challenges here in this country, that the answer to what we saw last Thursday is a change of leader. I don't believe that is the answer.
But he keeps saying, you know, change of leader would bring chaos. But surely the undermining of the governing party to the extent that we've seen is a form of chaos in itself.
It would bring instability. I don't believe it's what our members want to see, and I don't think it should be the message we take out of the elections in terms of what the voters told us either.
So how long do you think he'll be in place?
I believe the Prime Minister will take us into the next general election.
And if there is a move otherwise, which could be as soon as Monday, what would you say?
Well, the Prime Minister has my support, and I'm not convinced that will happen, but of course the Prime Minister has my support. I believe he is the right person with clear and level-headed leadership at a time of big challenges. You know, the leadership he demonstrated around the conflict in Iran, had the country been led by either of Nigel Farage or Kemi Badenoch, we would have been jumping 2 feet into a conflict without a clear set of ideas as to how to get out of that, which would have made the cost of living challenge even greater than we're seeing at the moment.
Bridget Phillipson, thanks very much for talking to us today.
Thank you.
Well, while I was at Westminster, I also spoke to Sir James Cleverly, the Shadow Housing Secretary, and I asked him what the Conservatives should take away from Thursday's vote.
Well, the Conservative Party vote share has increased. We retained a number of councils that were being very heavily targeted by other parties.
And lost almost half your councillors.
We have
more than half, in fact.
We have gained control of Westminster. We retained seats from the south. We gained councillors up in Trafford, for example. No one is suggesting this is job done. Our vote share has increased and we need to keep that going.
You made your promises. You've gone from 2nd to 4th in Wales, from 2nd to 5th in Scotland. So when you're looking at a countrywide picture, on the current trajectory, Nigel Farage will be Prime Minister.
That's not going to happen. And it's not going to happen because between now and the next general election, people who in good faith voted a reform are going to see that reform do not deliver.
Your best bet is that they don't deliver, because at the moment they are hugely popular. And even people within your own party are saying if they want a right-leaning option, it's no longer you.
No, that's nonsense. No, that's nonsense. Because reform will just offer whatever they think is popular. Being credible is what matters. And their agenda, their prospectus, their promises are just not credible.
What these election results show you is that people now want to take a chance on something completely different. Yes, Labour has collapsed almost across the country, but the Tories too are not looking at the sort of progress you need to be in government.
Labour collapsed because they made a whole load of promises to the British electorate at the general election, and they have failed to deliver on their promises. Now, if the lesson that you take from that is make more outlandish promises like the Greens are doing, like Reform are doing, like the Lib Dems are doing, you're learning the wrong lessons.
OK, you have talked a lot about your party wanting to do the best for the country, and you don't believe that Reform actually want to do that, nor Labour. On that basis, will you be urging your councillors in areas where there's no overall control to work with Reform to get stuff done for local communities?
Well, our default position is that we don't do deals. Now, ultimately, there may be edge cases or individual circumstances where we might have a conversation with the Conservative leadership in a particular area, but we are not going to prop up a party that we believe very, very strongly is not acting in the best interests.
But you still might do deals on occasion?
The default is no.
Sir James Cleverly, thanks for talking to us this morning.
Thank you.